Alright, so this is going to be the last video for this chapter. Okay, now let's continue talking about the firm's decision in the long term. Okay, should it exit from this market or industry? Okay, now previously we said that the fixed cost is a sunk cost when the firm decides, should it shut down or not. Okay, because it's sunk cost, it doesn't matter. Okay. In the decision-making process. Now, let's see if it matters here in the long run. Okay, and we would say that here in the long run, if the firm decides to exit the market, then the cost of doing that would be the revenue loss. Again, because you stop producing, so you will not receive any revenue or money from the market, right? So potentially, if you continue producing, you could make TR, right? Price times quantity. Now you're going to lose that part. So that's why we said this is your opportunity cost, okay, of exiting the market. The benefit of doing that is the cost that would be saved. Now this time, we're going to say it's a total cost. In other words, it's a fixed cost plus the variable cost. Both can be saved if the firm chooses to exit the market. Why the fixed cost can be saved, or why we would say no fixed cost in the long run? Again, use that piece of land as an example. As we just said, in the long run, if you already decide, quit from this industry or the market, then you can get this piece of land sold if you own the land, right? Or you can stop renting from the landlord, all right? Either way, you would find that you don't have to pay that part of the fixed cost, okay? And so that's why here we said the cost of saving is actually the total cost, all right? And then when the firm decides to exit or not, we compare the total revenue with the total cost, okay? If the total cost is greater, then, the firm should quit, okay, permanently, all right? We'll stop producing these forever, okay? And mathematically, we said that, we're going to divide both sides by the quantity Q. Okay, so on the left-hand side, it will be TR divided by Q. On the right-hand side, it will be TC divided by Q. And we said that the total revenue equals P times Q, right? So the Q can be canceled out, and what's left over on the left-hand side would just be the market price. On the right-hand side, total cost equals average total cost times quantity, right? And then the quantity can be canceled out. What's left over on the right-hand side would just be average total cost, okay? So the firm should exit if the market price is less than average total cost, or the profit is less than zero. So put it differently, this should be very easy to understand. If the firm does not make money on this market, it should quit, okay, in the long run. All right. It doesn't mean here, once again, it doesn't mean in the short run the firm should quit immediately, okay? Because if the firm continues to produce, and if it can make more money than the variable cost, okay, whatever it pays to its workers, that means the firm should continue producing in the short run so that it can make some money to pay the fixed cost, okay? Overall, the firm would still lose money, okay, but at least part of the fixed cost can be paid if it chooses to produce. But in the long run, it should make a different decision. It should quit, okay? Again, in the real world, this means that, for example, because of the COVID-19, the a lot of industries across the country had been heavily affected, right? For example, restaurants. A lot of restaurants are completely shut down. Okay, and so in the short run, so for example, we're looking at the upcoming weeks or upcoming month, for the rest of this year, you would find that most of these restaurants are still producing. By that we mean they're taking some orders. Okay, you cannot dine in, but you can still order online and go pick it up. Okay, and they find that it's still economically reasonable to do that because their total revenue exceeds the variable cost. Okay, so they still have to hire chefs and cashiers to take care of these orders, but the money they can make for the restaurant is more than their wage. So after paying the wage, the owner of the restaurant still gets some money left to pay the fixed cost, okay, which again is very likely to be the rent, okay, for the land or for the space. Okay. However, in the long run, you would probably be able to find that like next year, some of these restaurants are just going to be permanently closed. Okay, so what they're doing is what we just talked about, the exit from this industry, okay, forever. All right, but it takes time for them to do that. Okay, and again, probably they need time to be able to finish the payment of the fixed cost. Okay, so they, for example, when they at the beginning of the year, when nobody ever heard about something called COVID-19, then the restaurant already rent that piece of land or that space for a year. So when they sign up the contract, it said that in this year they are going to pay the rent every month for a certain dollar amount. Okay, so that's why right now, even though it's pretty hard for them to make money, but they still taking these orders. Okay, they're still operating. Now at the end of the year, when they decide what they want to do next year, they don't have to sign another contract, right, to rent that space if they already decide to quit permanently. Okay, so that's why we said in the long run, when we look at next year or next few years, the rent disappears. Okay, there's no fixed cost in the long run. All right, so here let's wrap this up. Okay, and this chapter we focus on the perfectly competitive market. We get it defined. And then we talk about the firm's profit and maximizing decision. We drive the firm's supply curve, and we said that to maximize its profit, we only need two marginal variables: marginal revenue and marginal cost. When these two are equal, then we find the quantity, specific quantity level to maximize its profit. Okay, and we also said that the marginal cost curve is the firm's supply curve. Okay, and we also talk about the firm's decision about shutting down or exiting. Okay, we said if the market price falls below the average variable cost, then the more the firm produces, the more money it's going to lose. Okay, so it should shut down. So that means, on the graph, the firm's short-run supply curve is just a portion of the marginal cost curve. More specifically, it's the segment above the average variable cost. Okay, and in the long run, the firm doesn't have to pay the fixed cost, so it may switch to other industries, other sectors. Okay, so what we need to compare is the market price and the average total cost. If the price is less than the ATC, that means the profit would be less than 0. Okay, so the firm should definitely exit. All right, and we also introduce a concept called sunk cost. Sunk cost means what we already paid, okay, to get started. Now, once we get started, bygones are bygones. Okay, when we look at the looking forward, should we continue doing this, then we don't need to worry about sunk cost. Okay, because that's already behind us. It is irrelevant for our decisions. All right, so that's all about this chapter.